Well, hello there everybody. Welcome back to Beskidy, map made by seba J for Farming Simulator 13. A map recommended to me by someone who left a comment on one of my videos. And I've never played a Polish map, at least not that I'm aware of, so I'm enjoying this so far, starting our little farm here to try to carry on the legacy of Grandpa, who left the farm to us. We're on our final field here for harvest. This is a long, skinny one. Our main farmyard is kind of up over here. We already harvested a field over here, another one up top, and now we're harvesting the final one over here. I may end up purchasing another field before we're done here, just to get a little more to do. So actually, let me just hop out here while he's doing what he's doing. Let me just hop over here and see. I know I checked on some of this before. For some reason I thought, okay, 8,400, and okay, this one is dirt. This doesn't have. Actually, this is a little bit further down than I was thinking. The one I was thinking was this one up over here. Yeah, that's so handy to be able to run. But gotta be able, I'm slowly learning how to change the speed. Alright, how much is this? 9,600. Well, this looks like canola, so let me just zip over here. There's several small fields. There's this triangle part over here. And I was wondering, how much is this one? Man, I gotta keep overrunning. This one here looks like it's also in wheat. 7,200. Well, I'll tell you what. Why don't I just make a purchase? Alright, Grandpa'd be so proud of us. We have purchased our first field, and there we have it. Alright, the combine is ready once again to be emptied. Just kind of sneak down over hill here, try not to drive over the top of the crop. You know, I'm seeing in here in this map some of those trees that were just on my left. It's actually a type of foliage that those trees are, just like any of the weeds or cattails in the water or whatever growing down there. It's just a taller type. I guess maybe it's a little bit easier on FPS. Oh, I guess I'm kind of on a slope here. Is there water in it? I don't see any. You can tell there's water in the air frequently, though, with different foliage down there. Alright, that trailer's half full. Let me head back out to where I was baling. My tractor is already on. I turned it on a little bit ago when I started. Let me crank up my baler. There we go. Now, I stepped out of game the last time, between the last episode and this one, and I wanted to widen the working area just a fuzz so that I had a little help picking up the little bits kind of around the edge. You know, this one here, we would have had no trouble with picking it up. But some of the other parts, well, we'll just see here. You know what? I'm going to drive straight. I'm not even going to try to pick that up. Let's see if it grabs it. It grabbed the whole thing. So maybe that looks a little like cheating or whatever. But I tell you, it's going to be handy. And I maybe should show what I did. I just opened the i3D file of the model in the editor. It had kind of a working with area, usually the working area, if you will, it's defined as a parallelogram in the game engine. So, as we all know, a parallelogram is a four-sided object at least, so you need to define at least three of the sides. And so usually on equipment or whatever, it forms a rectangle of some kind, namely a rectangle down here where the material's picked up. So I just widen the start and the width area a little bit, and then I also move the height, because if you don't move all 3 points, you could end up having a well, you won't have a rectangle shape. You'll have a parallelogram, or well, maybe not even a parallelogram. Yeah, it will be a parallelogram. But generally, you want to have the rectangle shape if you can. So this is going to be quite handy. I think that'll make our baling exercise a little easier than it otherwise would, just by having a little more width being picked up. I'll try to make it look somewhat realistic. I want to slow down. You know what? My combine is probably already full again, so head down there. I don't know that I see it, but I am in debt at the moment, so I kind of picked up this field over here as a matter of borrowing. I had to go in debt in order to pick up the auto-loading trailer, so which was pretty costly. They're making you pay about $54,000 in order to buy it, so I'm going to be paying through the nose, just to have the luxury of auto-loading bales. And fingers crossed, I don't even know if it works yet. These are small bales that I'm making, so always possible that that I won't be able to pick them up. Because a lot of times the mods are created for the standard fare that you would have in game, but I realize the baler that I'm using is somewhat a specialty one. Oh, gotta get out of his way. He looks a long ways behind him for some reason. And if you're there, he ain't gonna move. Alright, let's continue on the bales. This is probably where I should do a time lapse so you can see it go quickly. This is probably as good a place as any to talk about a time lapse. I've noticed a lot of farming simulator videos guys use time lapse, and on the one level it's pretty cool. You can watch sped up. You don't have to sit there and watch the whole field get done. And there are other guys who will show a part of the work being done, and then they just say, I'm going to do the rest of it off cam. I know I've said that before, so they don't force you to watch it, but some people may consider boring. I don't know. I know I've mentioned before, I'm not easily bored. I may not look at this as a tractor simulator type, but I genuinely enjoy the things that are done in here, whatever they are, so it doesn't bore me, but I realize others may have a different look at it. So I know sometimes guys that do a little bit of YouTube will speed the time up. They will put a flourish of music to it, and you can kind of just watch them zip through everything. And I've done a couple of those. It took me a little while to figure out how to do one of those in the editor, for these videos. So I know kind of how to do it. I haven't tended to want to do it though, And probably part of it is, we all have our own playing style for or for Army Sim. Just like we probably all have our or our watching style, if you will, on YouTube. And I know I tend to listen to videos more than I watch them, I think. Oh, that time I didn't pick that up. I may need to make them wider. Yeah, there's a lot of times, I sit at a desk all day, so it's handy to sometimes have background noise and things going on, just to help me through the work day. But if there is a time lapse and music that plays, then I don't hear anything, as I'm sitting there and something's happening on the screen and I don't have time to watch the screen a lot of times. And most of the time, the reason I watch a YouTube video is because I want to hear the thoughts and whatever of the person doing the video. I don't know, it's always struck me that anybody can do a time lapse, and all you're doing is just watching someone play the game. So, and I guess that's kind of what's going on in this video here too. Anybody sitting here is like, well, duh, that's what we're doing for you too. But I don't know, I guess I watch YouTube videos just to hear the person speak, share their thoughts, narrate what's going on or whatever, so I've tended not to do as much of that as maybe some other guys do. But I don't know, maybe I need to do more of it. What do you guys think? You guys like time-lapse videos? And if you do, you can leave a comment down below, but if you do, I'm curious why you like them, what you get out of them versus having someone talk to you. This, folks, is gonna fill us up. As soon as we get filled up here, I'm gonna take him back to the barnyard and we'll be plugging some wheat into our storage. This time do it on the road. And YouTube is an interesting platform. I've enjoyed it. There's just tons of things to see that are of interest. You wonder how someone got the idea of creating it in the first place. Now it's so ubiquitous that, probably nobody hasn't heard of YouTube. That's how common it is anymore. I remember the days before it existed. But there are other mediums too for video gaming or whatever. I know another popular one seems to be Twitch, and maybe there's others. These two are the ones I would tend to think of. But I know, when I've watched Twitch, there's occasionally times on there. I don't see it so much as on YouTube as on Twitch. And maybe because Twitch tends to be more live video versus YouTube. This isn't live, of course. It's going to be a processed video. But there's just a number of instances I've run into on... Boop! I should have opened the gate. Sorry. On Twitch, where it'll be some kid, that's playing the game or whatever, and they just don't talk. And I just can't watch that for very long. And before I move on, if I don't know, I figure if someone's good enough to watch me, the least I can do is talk to them while they're doing that. And I've also seen it on Twitch before. Not only did someone not talk, but I remember, sometimes, I'll try to interact with whoever's running the game or whatever, ask them a question, just to, I don't know, meet the person, because, it's, again, if I watch a video, I'm so fast, I tend to do it just out of interest in the person who's who's doing it. I want to see kind of what makes them tick, why they do what they do, you know, maybe what their mods that they like, whether they have any farming background, so forth and so on. And one time, there was a kid on there, and when you asked a question, the person would pause and then would type a response. You know, wouldn't even say it. Now, maybe they didn't have a microphone. I don't know. But no thank you. I guess I would prefer if I'm watching someone, I want to hear their voice for such that it is. And I realize even in saying all this, I have a terrible voice. You know, it's no secret listening to it here. I don't have the world's best voice. But I figure if you're good enough to watch, I hope to at least say something to you while you're watching. Oh, it'd be so tempting coming down here. Just go across the field. Got these long, skinny fields. Maybe what I should do is cut a strip kind of in the middle, but then it would just take longer. Just as well leave it alone. Yeah, so those trees to my left there that I was talking about earlier is a type of foliage. I don't think you can plow them out. You know, there's some foliage that aren't going to be touched by your tillage equipment, but you can't cut them either. I was noticing with how the map author, you know, created the map, he put a lot of those trees. Look at that, even the PTO should have those. That's pretty good. Although, well, yeah, I'd say in real life it wouldn't turn, but you know what? That isn't true. Those typically always turn on the outside, but they're usually a plastic sheath, and if you hit them with something, they'll stop, but the steel shaft in the middle will keep turning, of course. Anyway, I was mentioning the map author when he made the forest regions. It seems like he used a mixture of the cuttable trees and then also some of those foliage trees, which I thought was pretty clever because, you know, a lot of times on a map, especially in the later versions of Farming Sim, as you cut down the trees, there's all of a sudden you've denuded part of the map, and it just kind of looks odd, you know, being devoid of trees, and of course you can plant more. But this way here, kind of in the days before we had better forestry type mods or ability to cut trees in paint, before we had that, you know, it's probably a little tougher to plant trees to make that look normal. So when the map author just puts in those foliage trees, it at least keeps it looking somewhat like a forest, even though you cut down all the cuttable trees. I'm looking forward to doing some of that here at some point. I'm interested to see which particular trees you're able to cut. I have a feeling it's only the fir type trees. You know, some of these, like around the edges of the field, I've literally driven through, so some of them don't even have collisions, which is probably another reason why this map seems so well optimized. You know, still cranking 60 frames per second, which is pretty good for my little old computer here. I better go check the harvest field. Send him on up. There he is, ready and waiting. Oh, probably if I did this right, I would set up a course play so that it would take care of emptying the combine. I don't know. But that's alright. Just wait till he's emptied here and then get it out of his way, because he ain't going to be able to turn the corner. But in Farms M15, like back on the tree cutting, any of those trees we see around here, I mean, you could go dig out the chainsaw and have your way with it. Alright, we'll leave a little bit of that out on the road. So sorry to my neighbors, but it's just the way it is. If anybody lives in Poland who is watching this, please do comment if you could. You know, I'd be interested to know how realistic is this map, you know, true to life. You know, I've noticed there's lots and lots of little fields in here, and so I'm wondering, well, is this typical for Poland? You know, that it would be smaller fields as a general rule? I mean, I live in the U.S., and I know everybody says, well, people from the USA, everything's big here. Well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. I mean, I live in Oregon, so there's lots of small agriculture that happens here too. But I'd be curious, you know, in terms of Poland, I've never been there. I'd be curious to know if this is typical. And maybe just like here, it's region specific. You know, I'm sure in areas where small agriculture is very prevalent, that there's other areas in the same country where they also have large agriculture, big fields, large machinery, and so forth. So, yeah, I'm just kind of curious how typical that this is, and, you know, I think as many of us are aware, a typical farming sim map, the standard size is roughly 2 kilometers on a side. So the playing world that we have is 2 kilometers square, and this one here has all sorts of farms and fields and villages packed onto, you know, this map. You know, is that pretty typical? It's just always interesting, and I never would have imagined that a game would have this impact, you know, to learn about other cultures a little bit, precious a little bit. I'm talking in general terms here, but I mean, this is a Polish map, so I assume, probably wrongly, that what I'm looking at here is a snapshot of what life or farming life would look like in Poland. And it's just kind of cool to have opportunity to do that and have that afforded by a game. You know, we all, oh, hey now, look at that. Clearing off that other, yeah, that shows what happens when you, but it still didn't pick up that one. That's just interesting, because I know I increased it also on the inside. Now we'll pick it up. But yeah, we all went to school. We've all taken a little bit to learn about other cultures and people that are out there, and somehow when you get to do it kind of in a game like this, I don't know, it's, to me, it's a lot more fun than doing it at school. But anyhow, I'm sure we have a full combine again already. Let me head on down to take care of it. There's actually quite a bit of elevation drop in the field. And I have a mod in there. I know at some point, I don't remember how much it costs of in-game dollars, but I love hillside agriculture, and anytime I can get my hands on a hillside combine to use in-game, I try to do it. I think this one here has some fabulous hills where it'll be handy to use, but right now, Grandpa's old combine is fitting the bill, so we'll just keep that in mind. Okay, I think I'm going to need one more load. Wish it didn't take me all the time to act in. Fold this up. I see the shadow of a bird flying overhead. I love the extra animation on this map. Whoa! I just noticed that I need to go get some more sauce. I don't want to tangle with the sign. Now I'm wondering how I used up the fuel so rapidly. Like I say, I hope I can literally make it back to the barnyard. 4 liters. Should be able to make it. But I wonder if this has something in the mod where it uses fuel more quickly. Maybe that's part of how this mod works. Alright, slurp it up. Maybe it's just the size of the fuel tank. I know in the series that I have going on ArmSim 11, there is a mod in there that impacts fuel usage. And if you are pulling a trailer, I think it uses more fuel depending on how full the trailer is, how many liters of material are in it. So you can go through a fuel tank in a hurry if you're pulling something really heavy. And I think the fuel usage is bumped up. There's several that I have in there actually. Some bumped up for when the combine is threshing versus not, when the tractor is under load. So, and maybe maybe we didn't even start with a full tank. Shoot, I don't know. Doesn't seem to be using it very quickly now, though. Back to our later. Time we get over here. And this one here, when something is attached, has a little beep. It's like the reverse beep. So I'm curious, is this a hard object, this tree here? It is. Alright. Well, fair play. You know, I think I'm gonna just leave him kind of by the side of the road here, so I don't want any bales to get in the way of our harvester. I'll just kind of leave him here. There, we can turn him off. Alright, it's already sitting there again. Think you ever take this corner that hard with a heavy grain trailer? I shouldn't have either. Here we go. Kind of come up the side here. Where I grew up in Oregon was somewhat hilly. I kind of live on a hill at the moment. And so I've been around hillside agriculture my whole life. I worked on Lone Oak Farms when I was in my teens. There's a map out for that too, created by Mullet Bill, ArmSim 17. I think it was taken to 19 also. Oh, we're full. Good. And there are areas of the state where I live that are very hilly to the extreme, and they try to eke out a living on those fields, more in central Oregon, kind of, where they grow a lot of wheat. I had a friend over there for a number of years who was into wheat farming, and some of these fields, I mean, they were just gigantic. They aren't that large around here, but the field could be 500 acres or more, just all in one block. And, you know, to where you'd spend days harvesting a single field or working in it. And the topography was also equally large. You know, you might have over 500 feet of elevation change in a single field. And you know, when you've got that going on, depending on the climate, you can have a significant difference in whether the crop is ready to harvest or not at the top or bottom of the particular field. I just remember it was just interesting talking to him about how they worked all that as farmers to try to, like I say, eke out their living with that kind of topography going on. I see that rooster everywhere. He must have a pretty wide range to roam. Well, as everybody heard, the alarm just went off. I occasionally get asked about why I have that alarm, or I guess you'd call it an alarm, bell, whatever you call it. It was given to me by a dear friend, Eustace Farmer, who's no longer with us, but he was an outstanding YouTuber. He's the one that helped me get started, and I miss him dearly. He was just full of very good counsel on how to do it, and I'll never be as good at it as he was a storyteller and all these things. He's the one that gave it to me, because I was having difficulty figuring out when I would hit 30 minutes and be done, you know, with an episode. So he got me this little cow, it looks like, and you just twist the thing for 30 minutes, and when you're done, it squawks and tells you. Anyway, we are done with this episode, so thank you so much for coming along to watch. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.